want to make it in life, number one, develop your mind. You don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. Number two, develop your communication skills. Once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. Three, practice the principle of OQP. Only quality people. This is not for everybody. You want to build an organization with only quality people. Not
Correct.
people who need more, but people who want more.
For real.
You want to surround yourself with people that are hungry. People that are hungry are willing to do the things today others won't do. In order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. People that are hungry do what they know, not what they feel.
Exactly.
Is it easy? Of course it's not easy. It's challenging. It requires patience. It requires persistence. It requires a willingness to do whatever is required to create a new life for yourself. And so as you look at yourself, as you look at your goals, look at your dreams, it's very important that you take time every day and write this down to retrain your thinking. Because how we live our lives is a result of the stories that we bought into. I had to retrain my thinking because of what I saw. Studies indicating that the decisions we make in life is directly related to the things that we saw, the things that we experienced, the conversations we've been exposed to between age 0 and 5.
Now, let me quickly chip in this. This guy who just spoke in this video is not a Nigerian. This is my teacher, he's an American. And he said in the last part, if you do the things that are easy, your life will be hard. It reminded me of a folklore story we were taught when we were growing up as children. It's a story of a man called Adegboro. Adegboro was what people would call Alabaru back in those days in the ancient city of Ibadan. It was through Adegboro that they carved out a saying, which I will say in Yoruba, then I will later translate in English. The saying goes like this: Ẹni tí ò bá lè ṣe bí Adegboro lóyìnbó kò lè kọ́lé bí Adegboro lọ́jà ọba, which literally means if you cannot behave like Adegboro in the Oyinbo market, you cannot live like Adegboro in the popular Oba Market Road. Now let me give you that folklore story about Adegboro. I call it a folklore because, I mean, there were no facts, there were no pointers to the time the story of Adegboro actually happened, but it was believed that yes, it happened. Now this is the story of Adegboro. Adegboro used to be a hawker that helps you carry your market wares that you buy in the market from the point of your purchase to wherever your car is or wherever your loading point is, so that you can get it home. Adegboro started as what the Yoruba used to call Alabaru. Those people who usually help you with your carrying your load in the market to where your car is or where your loading point is. That was how Adegboro started his story, his life. Slowly and slowly, Adegboro started with his head. He will help people carry their load that they purchase, and they will pay him for that. He did that for a while, and he was making money and making money and making money. He didn't mind the shame. He didn't mind the ridicule. He didn't mind the names people called him. People called him a lot of names. Smelly, dirty, nonsense. But one thing I love Adigboro for, or that I emulate Adigboro for, Adigboro had no shame. Adigboro didn't listen to what people say. Adigboro didn't care about people's opinion. He followed his heart. After he made money doing all that, Adigboro purchased his first wheelbarrow. I mean, wheelbarrow is something in Africa that is called a cart, a go-kart pusher that is used in pushing heavy loads. He bought his first wheelbarrow, and he transformed from using his head as the carrier to start using the wheelbarrow to carry the load for people. He grew the business, became successful, and purchased more wheelbarrow, which he would later start loaning out to people in exchange for money. People will come to rent it from him in exchange for money, while he himself was still pushing one that was his personal own. After a while again, the business grew. From using wheelbarrow, Adigboro ended purchasing a big truck, which Yoruba people call in those days Agbegilodo. You know, he started using that truck to help people carry heavy loads, people who were buying bulk purchases in the market. So he could help people like 20, 50 people carry their loads from the market point to their destination. That was how the business grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. You know, he became so rich, so wealthy doing that business. You know, people started paying attention to his sudden rise to wealth, his sudden rise to fame. You know, I was like, wow, this guy is gradually growing, you know. Then there was a period in that story where they said the king was now selling plots of land or acres of land close to the palace. He put it on for sales, and Adigboro was among one of those who purchased a vast amount of land very close to the king's palace. And he became so wealthy and famous. So one day, curious elements went to him and said, Adigboro, we used to know your background, we used to know your story, we used to know how you started. A poor guy back in those days, and all of a sudden you have risen to the position of affluence, wealth. How did you manage to do it? You know, the world is always curious. The world is filled with curious people. You know, they will want to inquire, what is the source of your wealth? Look at those people, for example, like the curious minds that we have in the world these days. You know, they didn't see or they didn't witness his hustling days, his struggling days, but they were all around to witness his new status. You know, the Yoruba used to say something, you know, my mother used to tell me, he say, "Ìgbà tí kòkó ń ṣe iṣu, ẹnìkan ò rí, odó wa ń gúnyán ariwo wa ta." When the pot was busy burning his ass over the fire to cook yam, nobody heard, nobody saw, nobody said anything. But when the yam is now being converted to pounded yam, there's now a lot of noise. It's a metaphor, you know. That means the days you were grinding and hustling, struggling, the world didn't notice you then. No. The world don't care about you. But when you now begin to start enjoying, you know, your new status, there'll be so much noise. So back to the story of Adigboro. Adigboro grew to the status of affluence and wealth, and people now came to him and were making inquiries. Young man, we know your story now. How come? That was where the Yoruba were able to coin that saying. Ẹni tí ò bá lè ṣe bí Adégbọrọ̀ lóyìnbó kò lè kọ́lé bí Adégbọrọ̀ lọ́jà ọba. It's very, very similar to what my mentor, my teacher was saying in that video. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. My friends, my followers, my listeners, keep grinding, keep hustling, keep working your ass out. In the end, the story will change. Share this video, like, and follow this page to inspire somebody today. I'll see you guys on the next one. Ciao.